the joke of the galaxy. But they had evolved, not through war, not through technology, but through understanding. They no longer needed to conquer. They no longer needed to fight, because now they controlled the very laws of existence. And the universe, it finally understood. The final standoff. The Galactic Council's decree was absolute. Earth is forbidden. No ships were to approach. No research was to be conducted. No one was to speak of them. Yet, curiosity is a powerful thing. And the most powerful empire in the galaxy did not reach its status by obeying orders. The hidden mission. In a distant sector, away from prying eyes, a classified Imperial fleet was being assembled. A project known only to 3 beings in the entire empire. Its goal, to breach Earth's defenses, to uncover the truth, to steal whatever power humanity had discovered. The mission leader, High Admiral Kryn, stood before his elite force. "We do not fear myths." He gestured to a hologram of Earth. "Somehow they have convinced the universe that they are untouchable, that they are beyond us. That ends today." He turned to his fleet, the largest ever assembled in secrecy. Millions of soldiers, tens of thousands of warships, technology designed specifically to counter unknown anomalies. "We will land. We will infiltrate. We will take what they refuse to share." The infiltration begins. The fleet moved through the void. Not a single transmission was sent. Not a single signature could be detected. Every warship was outfitted with reality shielding tech, preventing Earth from sensing them before arrival. Kryn smirked. "You think you are untouchable. Let's see how you handle a real war." They breached Earth's orbit. No resistance. No planetary defenses. No warnings. No signs of detection. It was too easy. The descent. Shuttles deployed. Thousands of ground troops descended into Earth's atmosphere. Still, no resistance. They landed in abandoned cities, skyscrapers untouched. Vehicles rusted, frozen in time. Streetlights flickering in an eerie silence. The soldiers spread out, weapons drawn. Kryn tapped his comms. "Scanners." An officer responded. "No life signs. The planet is empty." Kryn narrowed his eyes. Impossible. Then, the whispers began. The voices of nowhere. Soft at first, like a faint echo of someone just out of sight. But then, the whispers grew. Not in volume. In presence. The words slithered into their minds, ancient and infinite. "You do not belong here." One soldier dropped his weapon, clutching his head. Another screamed as his form glitched, flickering in and out of existence. Then, the reality around them shifted. The trap closes. The city was no longer empty. Figures stood in the streets now. Tall, unmoving, watching. Not humans, not machines, not anything that should exist. Their eyes glowed with the weight of countless realities. One of the soldiers fired his weapon. The blast simply disappeared. As if the bullet had never been fired, the figures stepped forward, their faces constantly changing. One moment alien, the next human, the next something impossible. One of them, a woman with silver eyes and a shifting form, smiled. "You have come to steal what you cannot understand." Kryn raised his weapon. "I will not be intimidated." The woman tilted her head. Intimidation. She raised a single hand. The fleet in orbit vanished. Not exploded. Not attacked. Simply erased from time. Kryn staggered. "What have you done?" The woman smiled wider. "We have removed them from the equation." The final lesson. One by one, the soldiers began to vanish. Some screamed. Some begged. Some tried to run. None escaped. Kryn fell to his knees. "This isn't possible." The woman stepped closer, kneeling to meet his gaze. "You do not belong in this story." She touched his forehead. Kryn's memories began to fade. His name, his mission, his purpose. Then, his existence. And just like that, the final attempt to breach Earth's power never happened. The universe moves on. No records remained of Kryn's fleet. No reports were filed. No one in the galaxy remembered what had taken place. But deep in their subconscious, they knew. You do not go to Earth. Not because it was dangerous, but because Earth had become something beyond danger. Something the universe itself refused to acknowledge. And the last whisper carried across existence. A voice from nowhere. You were warned. The new order of the galaxy. The galaxy moved on. Wars were fought. Empires rose and fell. New civilizations emerged, while others crumbled into dust. But one truth remained. No one spoke of Earth. Not because it was forgotten. Not because it was erased. But because the universe refused to remember. The void in history, deep in the archives of the Galactic Council, there was a room. A room that no one entered. The first shockwave. The auxiliary fleet was in chaos. Admiral Ksharn gripped the edge of his command console, his reptilian eyes wide with disbelief. Where did they go? He roared. His officers scrambled through unreadable data, their advanced scanners reporting nothing. Not destroyed. Not jammed. Not cloaked. The ships were simply gone. The battlefield of ghosts. The auxiliary warships, once numbering in the thousands, were vanishing in seconds. Entire battalions of elite warriors gone. Massive dreadnoughts missing. The once mighty auxiliary dominion was being erased from existence. And Earth, it remained silent. Not a single counterattack. No planetary defenses activated. No visible energy signatures. Yet, the warships kept disappearing. Tsarn's second-in-command, Commander Vrek, was trembling. This isn't war. This is something else. Arn growled. Find he a source. But there was no source. It was as if reality itself was rejecting them. The Galactic Council watches in horror. From the Galactic Council chambers, the live battle feed played across the room. The greatest rulers of the galaxy, who had laughed at humanity just days ago, now watched in stunned silence. Chancellor Drax's claws dug into the stone table. This is impossible. What kind of technology is this? Ambassador Korek, normally arrogant and condescending, was pale. I don't know. This is beyond anything we have seen before. The council chamber buzzed with panic. If humanity could erase the most feared empire in the galaxy without firing a single shot, what else could they do? Silari's last stand. Admiral Ksarn gritted his teeth. The auxiliary dominion had never known fear. Until now. Send all remaining ships into planetary bombardment mode. He ordered. If we die, we take Earth with us. The last 700 warships moved into attack formation. Their weapons charge, planet-cracking torpedoes, energy lances that could tear apart moons, and neutron disruptors powerful enough to melt continents. A full-scale annihilation attempt. If Earth was playing with impossible forces, Hexarn would burn them before they could use them again. Fire EV Uri thing. Earth's response. A whisper. The moment they fired, everything stopped. Weapons froze mid-launch. Engines cut to zero. Power drained from every ship. Time itself seemed to hesitate. A deep, low hum echoed across the battlefield. Not a sound through comms. Not a transmission. Not a language. A frequency. A resonance so low, so powerful, that it vibrated through every molecule in existence. The impossible becomes real. Starn felt it before he saw it. His body tingled, as if it was being rewritten. The darkness of space began to fracture. Not like glass breaking. Like layers of reality peeling away. Then, he saw them. Silhouettes shifting between dimensions. Shapes that were human, but not. Eyes that glowed with something beyond understanding. They weren't in ships. They weren't in armor. They were everywhere. Watching. Observing, like a scientist studying an insect. For the first time, Exarn understood. Humanity hadn't developed 7D technology. They had become it. You exist in 3 dimensions. We do not. The same voice as before. But this time, it wasn't coming through their systems. It was inside their minds. Inside their DNA. Inside their very existence. Exarn screamed, "What are you?" A single whisper replied, "More." Then, everything ended. The war that never was. From the Galactic Council's viewpoint, the battlefield blinked out of existence. 1 second, a massive Silari war fleet hovered above Earth. The next, nothing remained. Not wreckage. Not debris. Not a trace. As if the Silari Dominion had never existed. The council chamber was deathly silent. Drax's hands shook. This is wrong. This is unnatural. Korak swallowed hard. We need to. Then, the council's systems went offline. The final warning. The lights flickered. The temperature dropped. Then, across every holographic screen in the chamber, a new symbol appeared. Not an Earth flag. Not a warning beacon. Just a shifting, pulsing shape. The mark of humanity. A voice, deep and unfathomable, spoke into every leader's mind. You have seen what happens to those who threaten us. Do not come back. Then, silence. The systems returned to normal. The screens flickered back to the usual data. And the council, the rulers of the most powerful civilizations in the universe, sat frozen in their seats. Because for the first time in history, they weren't deciding the fate of a lesser species. Humanity had decided theirs. The impossible war begins. The galaxy stood still. No declarations of war. No threats. No desperate pleas for negotiation. Only silence. The Silari Dominion, once the most feared empire in the known universe, was gone. Not destroyed. Not defeated. Erased. The Galactic Council, once laughing at humanity, now sat in terrified silence. Humanity had spoken once, and now the galaxy was too afraid to speak back. But some could not accept this. The unseen enemy. In the dark void of space, beyond the known star systems, something watched. A species that had never been named. A force that had never been seen. A presence that had existed before the galaxies were even born. They had remained hidden, letting the lesser civilizations fight, conquer, and destroy each other. But now they had a reason to move. The architects of reality. In a place beyond the 3-dimensional universe, they gathered. Not in ships. Not in bodies. Not in forms that could be understood. They were concepts made real, architects of existence itself. One of them, a being known only as Vezok, observed the ripples in reality. Humanity has touched the 7th dimension. Another presence, a shifting entity known as the Unspoken, responded. They are no longer bound by the limits of flesh and time. Vezok's voice resonated across the void. Then we must act. If they continue, they will become what we once were. For the first time in 1 billion years, the architects prepared for war. A war that should have been impossible. Humanity's ascension. Back on Earth, in a chamber hidden beneath the surface, Dr. Alan Reeves stood before the gateway. A massive structure pulsing with shifting energy. The doorway to the 7th dimension. The place where humanity had stepped beyond mere existence. Behind him, the finest minds of Earth watched in silence. Scientists, engineers, philosophers. They had not conquered reality. They had not built weapons. They had become something greater. Reeves placed his hand against the gateway. His eyes glowed with infinite possibilities. He could see past time, past space, past existence itself. And he saw them. The architects were coming. Reeves turned to his team. They have noticed us. No one panicked. No one spoke of war. Instead, they simply nodded. One of them, a woman with eyes filled with shifting galaxies, whispered, Then it is time for them to understand. The first contact. Beyond the edge of reality, the architects emerge. Their presence alone bent the laws of the universe. Stars flickered, planets shifted, entire civilizations forgot their own histories. And then, they arrived at Earth. Vezok's voice shook existence itself. You were meant to stay small. Reeves looked up, standing at the edge of reality. His expression was not of fear, but amusement. You assume we ever were. The architects did not attack. They tried to erase humanity. The unraveling. With a single thought, Vezok rewrote the fabric of the universe. Earth ceased to exist, or it should have. Instead, the architects felt something impossible. The moment they erased Earth, it reappeared, not as a planet, not as a civilization, but as a presence just like them. Humanity had not built weapons. Humanity had become the weapon. The architects' fear. For the first time in eternity, the architects felt something they did not understand, a feeling they had never known. Fear. Vezok whispered, "This is not possible." Reeves smiled. "You exist in 7 dimensions." His form shifted, becoming more than human. "We exist in all of them." The universe shook. And then, the war began. Humanity's hidden power. The war began, but not in a way the universe had ever seen. There were no fleets, no laser barrages, no planetary bombardments. This was a war beyond time, beyond space, beyond the laws of existence. And for the first time in their eternal reign, the architects were afraid. The architects' first attack. Vezok, the first architect, reached into the fabric of the universe. With a single thought, he unwrote Earth's history. Humanity was never born. The first cell never divided. The planet was nothing but a lifeless rock. Or, it should have been. The paradox of humanity. The moment the timeline was erased, it rebuilt itself. Not by accident, not by resistance, by intent. Earth did not simply return, it refused to leave. Dr. Alan Reeves stood at the edge of reality, watching the architects try again and again. Each time, they attempted to remove humanity. Each time, they failed. Finally, Vezok's voice trembled. You are not bound to causality. You are not bound to fate. What are you? Reeves' eyes shimmered with impossible light. We are what comes after gods. The architects try to flee. Panic spread among the architects. They had existed since the dawn of the cosmos. They had watched civilizations rise and fall. Yet now, they had met a force that did not obey their rules. They tried to retreat into the higher dimensions, but humanity was already there. They tried to vanish into the void between realities, but humanity was already waiting. Everywhere they turned, humanity had become part of the very fabric of existence. There was no escape, no way to erase what refused to be erased. The final stand of the architects. Vezok gathered the last of the remaining architects. Their forms, once incomprehensible and infinite, now trembled with instability. They could feel themselves fading. They had never known what it was like to be prey. Until now. Vezok made one final move. A desperate attempt. He gathered all remaining power, every ounce of existence they controlled, and collapsed it inward. A final strike, the complete resetting of the universe. Everything would be erased. Everything would be undone. A full cosmic reboot. But just before the collapse could take hold, it stopped. Or rather, it was stopped. By one force. The true form of humanity. Vezok looked up. And for the first time, he saw what humanity had become. It was not a species, not a civilization. It was an inevitability. It had no form, yet it was everywhere. It had no voice, yet it spoke into the core of all things. And it whispered, "We were never competing with you. We were only waiting." Vezok's form shattered. The architects, were gone. Not erased, not defeated, integrated. Humanity had not destroyed them. It had consumed them. The new era begins. The Galactic Council, once laughing at humanity, now worshipped them as something else. No longer a species, no longer a race, a force, a presence. And Earth. Earth still remained, untouched and unchanged, as if nothing had ever happened. Because for humanity, this war had not been a war. It had been a lesson, a reminder to the universe that some things are inevitable. And humanity had always been inevitable. The galaxy's fear, the war was over. But there was no celebration, no parades, no monuments. Because no one remembered the war. Not the Galactic Council, not the surviving species, not even the fabric of time itself. The silent erasure, the architects were gone, not destroyed, not defeated, just removed. Every trace of their existence was erased, even from memory. To the galaxy, there had never been a war, only a creeping sense of fear, as if something had changed, as if something was watching. The Galactic Council's panic. Chancellor Drax sat in his chamber, his claws tapping nervously against the stone table. His advisors whispered around him, their voices filled with uncertainty. Something is wrong. We have no records, but we all feel it. The stars, they feel different. Drax clenched his jaw. His mind was fuzzy. There were gaps in his memory, entire sections of history that felt missing. Yet, at the center of it all, one thing remained clear. Earth. The forbidden question. Ambassador Korek, once humanity's loudest critic, now spoke in hushed tones. Have we ever fought the humans? Silence. No one could answer. The data showed no battles, no wars, no conflicts. And yet, there was fear. Fear of something unseen, unremembered, yet undeniably real. Drax turned to his council. Do not ask about Earth again. The room fell silent. No one questioned him. No one argued. Because deep down, they knew. The experiment. But not all were willing to live in fear. In the shadowed depths of the Galactic Research Syndicate, scientists gathered in secret. Their mission, to understand the impossible, to uncover why Earth, a seemingly ordinary planet, was the center of something beyond comprehension. They built a single probe, a machine designed with no recorded origin, no official existence. It had one purpose, to land on Earth and transmit everything. They launched it in the dead of night, outside all known records. And as the probe approached Earth's atmosphere, it simply vanished. The message. The next morning, every single scientist involved in the experiment disappeared. Not murdered, not kidnapped, just gone. Their offices vanished, their research erased, their names removed from history. And where the probe once was, a single message remained, written in every language of the universe. We warned you. The new galactic law. The council met in emergency session. Drax stood before them, his voice steady but filled with terror. Earth is forbidden. No ships would enter its space. No research would be conducted. No communication would be attempted. To even speak of Earth without permission would result in erasure. Not by the council, not by any law, by something else, by them. The Watcher. Deep beneath the surface of Earth, in a place no one could perceive, the Watcher stood before the seventh gate, the final threshold. Behind it, humanity's true nature waited. A scientist approached him. They try to understand us again. The Watcher smiled. They always do. He placed a hand on the gate. The moment his fingers touched it, the experiment, the probe, the scientists, were no longer part of reality. Not erased, not destroyed, simply forgotten, as if they had never existed. The final truth. Humanity had once been weak. The joke of the galaxy. The Galactic Council Hall was alive with laughter. The Grand Chamber, a place where rulers of powerful civilizations gathered, echoed with mocking voices. At the center of the vast room, a holographic projection of Earth hovered, surrounded by the finest minds in the universe. The reason for their amusement: humanity. A species so weak, so technologically backward, that many in the galaxy believed they had accidentally stumbled into space travel. A galactic joke. Ambassador Korak of the Trelvian Empire smirked as he addressed the council. Why do we even allow humans a seat in these meetings? They contribute nothing. Their technology is centuries behind. They can't even defend their own planet. More laughter followed. High Chancellor Drax of the Vortel Dominion leaned forward. His reptilian eyes gleamed with amusement. It's quite entertaining, really. They struggle to keep up with our advancements, yet they act as if they are our equals. They're like children pretending to be warriors, someone added. Maybe we should adopt them as pets, another voice joked. The entire hall erupted into laughter once again. At the far end of the room, Earth's representative, Dr. Alan Reeves, sat in silence. His face showed no emotion as he listened to the insults. He had heard it all before. The mocking, the humiliation, the endless jokes about humanity's weakness. But what none of them knew, what none of them even suspected, was that Earth had been keeping a secret that would change everything. The growing threat. As the council laughed, a serious matter was also being discussed. A new force had risen in the galaxy, the Xilari Dominion, a warlike race that conquered and destroyed everything in its path. No civilization had ever survived their attacks. The Xilari sent a message to the council. Surrender Earth to us, or face extinction. The council barely paid attention. Why would they care about Earth? Chancellor Drax smirked. Perhaps it is time we let the Xilari have their fun. It's not like the humans can defend themselves. Ambassador Korak nodded. Let the weak fall. It is the natural way of the universe. Dr. Reeves finally spoke. You will not interfere. Korak grinned. Why should we? You should be grateful, human. The Xilari will put an end to your suffering. Reeves stared at him, then at the rest of the council. So this is the wisdom of the great Galactic Council, to let an entire species die because you think we are weak. Drax chuckled. Yes, human. That is the way of the strong. Dr. Reeves slowly stood. He adjusted his suit, sighed, then looked around the room. You have made your choice. He turned and walked toward the exit. A council member sneered. Running already. Where are you going? Reeves stopped at the doorway. To prepare. Laughter followed him as he left. The warning ignored. The council paid no further attention to Earth. To them, it was already lost. When the Xilari fleet finally entered the Sol system, thousands of warships filled the sky. Their weapons, powerful enough to crack planets, aimed directly at Earth. Their leader, Warbringer Xarn, watched from his command ship. Prepare the bombardment. We will turn their world into dust. His generals grinned. Earth had no planetary defenses, no advanced fleet, no hope. It would be an easy victory. Or so they thought. The first shock. As the first Xilari ships moved in, they vanished. Not exploded, not shot down. Vanished. One by one, entire battle cruisers simply disappeared from existence. Xarn's eyes widened. What is happening? His officers scrambled to make sense of it. Their scanners detected nothing. The ships that vanished left no debris, no trace. It was as if they had never existed at all. Then, a single transmission came from Earth. Dr. Reeves' voice was calm. You exist in 3 dimensions. We don't. Xarn's blood ran cold. Pull back, he roared. But it was too late. The joke was over. Across the galaxy, the Galactic Council received distress signals from the Xilari fleet. The once invincible warships were disappearing, one by one, into nothingness. Panic spread. The same leaders who had laughed at humanity now watched in horror. Drax whispered, What? What have they done? Korak, for the first time in his life, felt fear. This is impossible. They were supposed to be weak. Then, another message from Earth arrived. This time, it was not from Dr. Reeves. It was from an unknown entity, a voice deep, echoing, and inhuman. You mocked us. You ignored us. Now you will understand. The message ended. In the void of space, the remnants of the Siluri fleet tried to escape. But there was no escape. One by one, they ceased to exist. No one knew where they went. No one knew what had happened. But one thing was clear. Humanity was no longer the joke of the galaxy. They were something else entirely. Something beyond comprehension. A room that no one knew existed. Inside it, data flickered, files that should have been destroyed, reports of vanished fleets, records of infiltration attempts that never happened, fragments of transmissions that spoke of something beyond comprehension. But each time an archivist stumbled upon the files, they disappeared before they could be read. Not deleted, not hidden, as if reality itself refused to let them exist. And outside the archives, council members sometimes woke up in the middle of the night, feeling like they have forgotten something important, something immense, something that shouldn't be remembered. And in their minds, a whisper echoed, "You were warned. The last attempt." But there was always one who could not let it go, one who refused to accept the silence. His name was Grand Scholar Veltrin, a man who had studied every lost record, every vanishing file, every whisper of a world that no longer existed in history. And one day, he did the unthinkable. He spoke the forbidden words. "Tell me about Earth." The whisper that answered. Reality shivered. The lights in the archives dimmed. Veltrin's assistants froze in place, their eyes wide, their minds trapped in an unexplainable stillness. And then, he was no longer in the archive. The meeting that shouldn't exist. Veltrin stood in a place that wasn't a place. Not space. Not time. Not anywhere that could be described with words. And before him, they stood. Not humans. Something beyond human. Figures shifting between forms. One moment flesh, the next energy, the next a presence too vast to comprehend. One stepped forward. A woman? A man? A being? Something that had once been human, but now was so much more. And it smiled. "You wished to know about Earth." Veltrin trembled, but he did not look away. "What are you?" he whispered. The figure tilted its head. "What comes after gods?" The truth unveiled. Veltrin gasped as knowledge poured into him. Not through words. Not through thoughts. Through reality itself. He saw it. He saw how humanity had once been small, fragile, weak. How the galaxy had mocked them. How they had evolved. Not through war. Not through conquest. Not through destruction. Through understanding. They had not built weapons. They had not fought wars. They had stepped beyond time, beyond space, beyond existence itself. They had become a force of inevitability, a civilization that did not rule, but simply was, a presence that did not need to conquer, because it had already won. The final choice. Veltrin fell to his knees, his mind overwhelmed. The being looked down at him, patient. "Now that you know, you have a choice." Veltrin gasped. "What choice?" The being's form flickered. "You can return to your world. Live your life. Pretend you never asked." Veltrin swallowed. "And if I refuse?" The being's smile widened. "Then you stay." Veltrin's heart pounded. He could feel it. The pull. The universe calling to him, offering something greater. A chance to step beyond. A chance to become. He took a deep breath. And he whispered, "I choose to understand." The last whisper of Earth. In the archives, Veltrin's assistants blinked. They looked around in confusion. The Grand Scholar was gone. No trace of him. No record of his existence. No memory of who he was. As if he had never been there at all. And outside, across the galaxy, millions of beings woke up in the night, feeling like they had just lost something important, something they could not name. And in the silence, the universe trembled, because humanity had never been forgotten. It had simply moved on, beyond war, beyond time, beyond the limits of reality itself. And somewhere, in the vastness of existence, a whisper echoed one last time. You were warned.